Hello, everybody. I would like to welcome you once again to The Culture. This is episode 3, and The Culture basically aims to highlight, showcase, and raise awareness of the Zambian artist and the Zambian creative industry. We believe that Zambia has got a lot of resource, not only within the ground, but also within its people. We have a lot of gifts, talents, and particular skills that our people have, and the culture aims to bring these to the forefront of Zambia's diversification. So the culture is aiming to show you outstanding individuals, to show you individuals that are going to help Zambia become a hub in regards to creativity, in regards to the arts, no matter what medium it is. It could be poetry, it could be audio, it could be visual art, it could be design, it could be entertainment, it could be anything related to creativity. And today on The Culture, episode 3, we have a very special guest that I'm here to bring to you. This is someone who has got a direct link into the artistic and creative industry within Zambia. This is none other than William Musonda Katongo, but more popularly known as Lord Wapi. Lord Wapi, welcome to the show.
Hey man, how are you?
I had to give you a drum roll. I had to give you an introduction fit
Yes, you
for a
did.
king.
Yes, you did. It's good to be on the show, man.
It's a pleasure to have you here. It's
Yeah,
a pleasure to have you here.
I saw the first episode, and I was like, I have to be there. I have to be on the show.
We happened to be in a WhatsApp group, and
Yeah.
when people were commenting about the first episode, which
Yeah.
had Critic, shout outs to Critic,
Yeah.
a lot of people were saying, I think one of the guys that needs to be on the show next is Lord Wapi. And I thought, okay, 1 or 2 people are saying it. I logged off, logged back on. There was a few more people
so
saying
you
it.
just had me here because people requested me to be here.
Well, look, outside this arena, I know you personally, and I think we've interacted on many occasions.
Right, yeah.
And I had a short list for this first season, and you're one of the people that was on the short list. But for those people who don't know, if I was to summarize briefly,
Right.
Lord Wapi is somebody who is engaged in a number of artistic avenues or ventures. First things first, how I first met Lord Wapi is through artworks in terms of caricatures.
Yeah.
Lord Wapi has been doing caricature commissions for a while. Through your Facebook page, I first got to know you. You've even been able to do one for me that was well received.
You and the lady, yeah.
Well received by me, my lady, my family, my friends. And not only through the caricatures, I know that you are also someone that is very vocal on social media, on social or current affair issues. And those tend to garner a lot of attention because you're very honest and forthcoming with your opinions on certain issues. But apart from that, there's also the presenter, interviewer, journalist side to you. I know that you also do a bit of work with
radio.
in radio. I think you're really active and involved in the creative industry.
Yeah.
Let's start this from the genesis. I've done a bit of research. I know that you were born in Ndola. So
Ndola Central Hospital.
You're a Copperbelt boy in Ndola Central Hospital.
Very much so.
You then shifted to Luanshya at some point in time?
Actually, I was born in Ndola Central Hospital. My mother and my father at the time, were married, so they were living in Northrise.
Okay. Shout out to Northrise.
Yeah, you've been there before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very. I love that place. Northrise, in a street called what's the street called again? I've forgotten it. But then Northrise. Then from then, after they had my little brother, they moved to Luanshya, right?
Okay.
Because my mom had found a job at ShopRite, and then my father was working for a construction company at the time, Phoenix, I think it was called, right?
Phoenix.
You remember?
I
Yeah.
Phoenix, yeah.
I think they had a contract to do some roads in Luanshya at the time, and he was working there.
I hear you.
All right, but my memory is sketchy about this. May have been Phoenix or not, but I know that he was working for a construction company at the time, and mother was working for ShopRite.
In terms of your creativity, how far back do you recall, like, okay, pen, pencil, I'm able to like mold things
I have a funny story. So the first time I remember drawing, right? My sister, who was a bully at the time, we're back in Luanshya, aren't we? We're back in Luanshya, and I'm drawing something on a paper. And then my sister grabs the paper and goes, "What are you drawing?" And then I failed to explain because on the paper was just like a box.
Yeah.
With like other boxes inside the box.
100%.
So I don't even know how to describe what I'm drawing. I just was drawing it. So my sister is laughing at me, right? Like, "What are you drawing? It doesn't even make sense."
Weirdo. Yeah.
Yeah, you're such a weirdo, right? And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, like, what am I drawing here?" So after that, I discovered I have an interest in like doodling and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I remember my father buying me a Mickey Mouse magazine, or is it comic or whatever. And then from that, I started modeling, like, drawing the Mickey Mouses,
The
mice,
infills,
Mickey Mice,
the color,
Mickey Mice, and all that stuff, right? And then from then, I just like cartoons. Like I would just draw cartoons. I loved drawing Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, all those other characters that you find in all these.
So you see, without realizing that was arguably the birth of
it
Lord
was,
Wapi
but I didn't know at the time though.
Yeah.
For me, it was just something I would do when I'm bored. I didn't know that it was actually a thing. Like,
so you kept on doing this? Was this something that you kept on doing even as you were now in higher tertiary? You're now at CBU.
Yep.
What did you go to CBU to do?
Before I explain what I went to CBU to do. Like I kept doing like the drawing stuff, but then there was a point where I started living with my grandmother, and then we had no TV. That was in Kabushin Dollar, right? No TV, so you have to entertain yourself somehow.
Yeah.
My brother and I would entertain ourselves by drawing stickmen.
Wow.
Right? And would like write stories with stickmen.
On different pages?
On different pages. So he would draw, and then I would draw, then we exchange.
Wow.
And then would watch each other's drawings and then explain to each other what the story is all about, right? Yeah. So we did that every single day, and we kept like challenging ourselves, like, what other story can you come up with, and blah, 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 blah. And I didn't know at the time, but then we were literally educating ourselves on how to write a story. Suspense, the beginning, the end, right? Conflict and all that stuff, right? Yeah. Without even knowing the fact that those are the basics of a story. We actually taught that to ourselves just because we had a very deep need to entertain ourselves, right? Now, coming to the question, CBU, I was doing chemical engineering.
Really?
Yeah, chemical engineering.
It's funny, a lot of you artists end up doing the most contrasting things possible.
Yeah, it's because of our parents, I should say. It's our parents.
So you fell victim to expectation.
Ooh, my mother. I'm there with my mother. We are talking about and celebrating the fact that I just passed grade 12. Yeah. Oh, what's the way forward? Plan? What's the next step, right? I'm saying, you know what? I would like to do graphic design. Wait, where are you going to do graphic designs? Yeah, like, what is graphic designs, first of all? And where do you want to do graphic designs from? I'm like, I hear that in Lusaka, there's a school that would, teach me graphic designs. Like, nah, engineer, that's what you're going to become. CBU, let's do it. I'm like, you know what? You're the mother, right? And you're my sponsor, basically. I can't say anything.
Exactly.
So, went to CBU, enrolled into chemical engineering, although I must mention that it wasn't entirely a dictatorship. She did say, you are better off doing an engineering program than graphic designs, because I don't imagine that you'd make any money from that. And that was a time when to be honest, graphic designs was not actually a thing, right?
It's only grown more recently.
Yeah, so I understood. I understood where she was coming from, and so she said, "But let's discuss what program you want to get into at CBU."
And Wapi was thinking it's
and so we looked at a couple of programs, and I said, "Listen, I'm good in math. I'm good in chemistry, chemical engineering.
Let's do it."
And so that's how I got into chemical engineering. And I love doing it, actually. I love chemistry and mathematics.
Yeah.
Although I just didn't see myself working as an engineer ever. Like, you can feel it inside you. Like, is it something you want to do?
Let me not lie to myself.
For the rest of your life. Yeah. Like choosing a career is like choosing a wife or a husband.
You only get one chance to do
it's just
it, right?
one chance.
Most
like,
of the time,
do you really want to do this for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I don't think so. I did it anyway. And because I didn't have that much interest in it, I had interest in the chemistry part and the mathematics part, but then the entire thing.
There's a whole bunch of other things that
come with it that you're not interested in. I was not really interested in that.
It's hard to apply yourself as well.
And so that affected my performance.
100%.
The initial tests, assignments, exams, I was nailing it, right? But then afterwards, I just became bored and I started performing poorly. Yeah.
So fast forward from getting to a point where you realize that this chemical engineering is not for me. Do you just run away from CBU? Do you look for another route?
Actually, actually, I didn't have the balls to run away. I wish I could run away, but I didn't have the balls to run away. Especially the fact that my mother was so big on education, right? And I was not on BC or anything like that. She was paying.
So she's sacrificing a lot to make it happen.
Yeah, so I had to stay. I had to stick around, right? Yeah. But then she got diagnosed with cancer, and so she had to undergo chemotherapy.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, and then finances obviously,
are channeled
towards the treatment for cancer and all that. And so it was difficult to to carry on. But then again, at the same time, I also flanked out of, I went on EX, as they call it, because I failed my sessional examinations.
A lot was going on in your life.
Yeah. That time, I flanked out of university, and in the same year, my mother also passed away.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she succumbed to the cancer because, we caught it early, but it was just very aggressive. It wasn't responding to the chemotherapy, so she passed away. And after that, I went to ZipZip to do like a short business management course.
Certificate or a diploma? What was it?
Diploma. Sort of something like that, right? Now, that's when I ran away. This time I was like, nah, I can't do this.
I can't go through pretending.
I can't do this. I just I'll try to make it work somehow, but and for me, it's not much about graduating as it is about learning.
Yeah.
Right? And I feel like I learned what I needed to learn doing chemical engineering at CBU. I learned what I had to learn doing business management at ZipZip. Even if I didn't graduate on both institutions, I still learned something.
The fundamentals were
right,
required.
and I'm applying what I learned from those
in your
institutions
life,
in my life, and it's working out. So it's not about me having a paper. It is though, if we had to be realistic, right? It is about having a paper. But if I have learned something and I apply what I've learned, I think I'm better off.
Has Lord Wapi dived straight into the things that interest him now?
Not really.
Once you had,
I think so. Yeah.
Once you had left the business course.
So I've left Zip Zip and I'm on a bus to Lusaka, and I'm like, hey, I have to make it work in Lusaka. I have to like find a way. I'm so much in love with everything that goes on in Lusaka. There's so much activity in Lusaka. And compared to the Copper Belt, people respond so well to art. Not just music, not just movies, but everything else. Paintings, right? Cartoons themselves, right? Writing, right? I saw like cats my age writing books, right?
Yeah.
Right, and people responding
Being able
well,
to publish
right?
and receive.
Yeah, I even made
feedback.
friends with one of them,
Yeah.
Luca Mwango, right? And
Luka
RIP
Mango,
to him,
may your
yeah.
soul rest in peace.
Exactly. I was so inspired by that. Like Lusaka responds so well to art. So if ever I have to live anywhere, it has to be Lusaka. So I got on a bus, I came here, and that time I was trying to try my luck with voiceovers.
Yeah.
I did a couple of jobs and all that stuff. I got paid, didn't get paid well, but I got paid nonetheless. And I enjoyed the experience. I'm like, okay, this is something I can actually do. Besides that, every single person that was responding well and even following my cartoons on social media lived in Lusaka, right? If ever they wanted me to do something for them, it's easier for me to even meet them up and all that stuff. So I all things considered, I'm like, Lusaka has to be the place. So I tried like 3 times to move to Lusaka. The first time I tried to move to Lusaka didn't work out. The second time I tried to move to Lusaka also didn't work out. So every time I would try to move to Lusaka, doesn't work out, I'd go back to the Copper Belt. Second time, tried to move to Lusaka, didn't work out. Moved back to the Copper Belt. Third time, didn't work out. I know. Well, did it work? Was it third time or fourth time? I think it was third time. Must have been third time, because this time I moved to the Copper Belt. I even started working there in Ndola, and that was really going well. But then after that, that's when now I found a job in radio, right? So that's when I now permanently moved
to Lusaka.
Yeah, because besides all the cartoons and the art and whatnot, I've always been very much interested in getting into radio. I've been listening to radio since I was probably 10 years old, right? And I've always felt like I would want to be behind a mic. And so I thought that would happen maybe when I'm 45, 50 years old, but then it happened fortunately, right? Fortunately, I got to know a man who appreciates talent, and who's able to
eye you out.
Yeah, who's able to like identify, potential and even invest in it. And when that happened, that's when I was able to move to Lusaka with, of course, his help, right?
Yeah.
Moved to Lusaka, and here we are, 2 years later, actually. I'm not much a superstitious person, but I think that if you really want something, you're going to get it. Like, of course, with attempts and all that stuff, but then if you really want something, you will eventually get it. If you keep dreaming, I have to like move to Lusaka at some point. Like there will be opportunities that will just come your way from nowhere, right?
Somehow, start
it's
to
just
align
like there, boom, like the opportunities there, like someone just calls you and says, Muntwandi, ninkukira ku Lusaka paso ninkwatenganda 2 rooms, and it's what, like 2.5, and I'm looking for a roommate. Fine, man, I can be a roommate. You move to Lusaka, right? Like like once you just like think of wanting to do something, wanting to have something,
and you zoom in and zoom
like
in on it.
it just I don't know. Like, are you superstitious like that?
I actually am.
Yeah.
So even like this show, this show was born out of a frustration for people like me and you not having the right avenue to get our stories across.
Right.
Yes, we have social media and we have a few platforms or channels of communication to people.
Yeah.
But this might be one of the first times that someone clicks on Lord Wapi and gets a nice mini compressed breakdown of what you've had to do to be in this space.
Yeah, and you know, and I think that, and I think that like this, you know, we're talking about wanting something and something, you know, happening. This is something you've probably thought about like for years.
Yeah.
Right?
True.
For years you've thought about this. So it's the same thing like with everything else like that happens in my life. I've thought about radio. I've thought about, you know, cartoons. I've thought about writing a book, or writing for TV, or
Comedy.
writing a movie, right?
Yeah.
Directing a movie, producing music videos, and like all these things are just like, you know,
They're
in your
they're
head,
in the
right?
atmosphere.
They're
just-
in there, right? And eventually it's going to happen because I feel almost stupid saying this, right? But then the universe is listening to you always ask it about these things. Like, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. And the universe is just going, okay, I've got you. And then
when an opportunity is given
comes
to
in,
you,
right?
What do you do about it?
Yes, and that is why when you want something, when you really, really want something, and you know you want it, you better prepare yourself.
To be able to accommodate the
No, you better
opportunity.
prepare yourself when that opportunity comes. But you can't say, listen, I want to get into radio. And then from nowhere,
You've got no
you log
oratory
onto
skills,
Facebook. You
you've
log onto
got no-
Facebook and then you see an ad. We're looking for presenters. Come for auditions at 9 a.m. Right? And then you're like, oh my God, I've always wanted to be in radio.
I'm not even in Lusaka.
But I'm not prepared. Right?
I'm not good at
I'm not prepared. No.
oratory skills.
The moment
I'm not good at
the moment that ad
moving off the
comes,
cuff.
you better be ready to audition, right? So I think that
That's
the
played a
universe
big part.
listens, man. Like the universe listens, and you just have to be ready, like to jump on it.
So Lord Wapi coming to Lusaka, is this you? Obviously, you've mentioned your main channel of getting here is through opportunity to work in radio. But did you now come to Lusaka and hit everything on the ground running? Were
It
you
hasn't
doing
even happened
radio?
yet.
Were you doing art? Were you multitasking, trying to fully engross yourself in
It's been,
the art element of
it's-
Lusaka
it's-
that was maybe lacking in
It's
Ndola?
been very difficult, man. It's been very difficult, and I'm still settling in. Actually, it's been 2 years since I came to Lusaka, and I feel like I'm still settling in. I'm trying to, as much as possible, do what I can for radio, do what I can for cartoons, do what I can for every other thing, because there's so many things that I would like to work on.
Yeah.
But I think that requires a peace of mind, that requires some sort of,
A well-coordinated
level-headedness,
plan
right? Yeah. And,
action.
and that takes time, actually. It takes time. There's so much to deal with in this world.
Yeah, you're living your life as well.
In the
as
adult
it
life,
goes.
in the adult life, man. Like there's so relationships and bills and rent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, right? So you balance those things with these other things. It's like I think it takes time, and that's why I feel like your 10 years between 20 years old and 30. That's your time to like figure things out.
Yeah.
Like make mistakes, juggle things, blah,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. But you can't be 30 years old or 35 years old and not have things figured out.
You have to have a
Right.
plan on like your overall.
Like in your 20s, man, like in your 20s, you are licensed to mess up, right? To make mistakes and to not have things figured out. What are you doing? No, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
You're licensed to do that in your 20s.
Life becomes a bit more unforgiving.
But
as
yeah. Like you're okay. Like just do everything. Like try out everything and all that stuff, right? In your 20s. But once you hit 30, you better have had everything figured out.
Yeah.
And you see, I'm almost 30 years old, and that is always like the anxiety that that I faced.
I think it's.
You know what I mean, right?
I can totally relate to that.
You know what I mean, right?
But this is somebody who isn't even yet 30, but has had a TED Talk.
Oh yeah, the TED Talk. Yeah, the
Congratulations,
TED Talk.
kudos
Thank
to
you
you.
very much. Thank you very much.
I was so proud to see you.
TED.
What was the brief for you? I mean, anyone who knows what TED is knows, I want to be on TED too. How did that all work out?
Yeah, that's another thing I actually used to think about a lot, right? We're talking about asking the universe, and the universe provides. I remember literally pretending, right? I'm alone in the room, and I'm pretending as if I'm on a TED Talk stage, talking about something, right? And I'm having this experience whereby I feel like I'm there, right? Almost like a memory of the future, right?
Wow.
And I used to imagine that I am definitely going to do TED some point in my life. But I'll probably be
Hairbrush
like,
is your microphone.
yeah, something like that, man. But I was thinking, 45, 50 years old. Maybe when I'm respectable, something like that, or respected,
Yeah.
right? People actually give a care about what I have to say, or he's mature.
Yeah.
He's going to say something that
Yeah.
will matter, right? I never imagined that TED would happen at the time it happened. So I'm in Lusaka, right? 2019, man. I receive a call.
Yeah.
Would you like to do TED? Right? You're amongst the people we have chosen for
Shortlisted,
for this year's list of speakers. A TED. I'm like, what? Right? Get back to us. I don't believe it, so much so that I actually not respond. I'm like, nah, this is a joke.
Not respond.
Yeah, I didn't respond, man. I didn't respond. Then they call me again. Listen, this is not a drill.
We're talking to you.
This is you we're talking to. Lord Wapi, come through. Blah, 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 blah. Training starts this time. I respond, I'm like, yeah, I would do it. All right, start reporting on this days, this time, this place for rehearsals. But I never show up. I never show up. And I'm ignoring their calls and whatnot because I am nervous, man. I'm nervous. I didn't expect it, right? I'm nervous. And then like 1 week to TED. That's when I actually meet my coach. Actually, the initial coach had given up on me. He said, nah, I'm not going to deal with this guy.
Up.
He's not showing up. I'm not going to deal with this guy. Then another coach said, I'll take him on. And this one was aggressive, right?
Yeah.
And we spend every day of 1 week, right, rehearsing and shaping my speech and whatnot. And we're doing all these crazy things like taking a walk, right, while we practice the speech and whatnot. And we're thinking, is this going to work or not? Right? But then thankfully to her, she was very, she was not a conventional coach, right? She was very unconventional. And so because of that, she made me feel comfortable because I'm not a conventional person myself. And so we do the TED. I stand on stage. That time I was put in the same category as, in the same group as Pilato.
Shout out to Pilato.
Yeah, man. Oh man, and Henry Joe Sakala as well.
Shout out to
him as well. Brilliant actor, right? And I'm looking at all these figures, man. Like
these guys have got levels.
Who am I though? Like who is this guy? Who am I?
Yeah.
Dude, I stand on stage and I do my speech. It was 60% jokes, 40% serious
What was
stuff.
the duration?
It was 12 minutes, somewhere there, right? I do my thing, and then once I'm done, I receive this applause.
Standing ovation.
But then not just that, when the whole thing is done, I'm walking out and everyone is just shaking my hand. That was good. That was brilliant. That was brilliant. I'm like, what? So that was like the highlight of 2019, to be honest. I really I experienced like a genuine euphoric surge, right, within myself. And after that, like I had a newfound confidence.
In a certain moment,
Now walk yari chinja so. You know what I mean? I'm walking differently, man. Like, hey.
amidst all that chaos, there must have been a moment where you thought, you know what? Maybe I do deserve to belong here. Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe as much as I look at these other giants and I feel like I'm here for a reason.
Yeah.
Just like you got on that bus the third time to Lusaka.
You do get that feeling.
Just
actually.
like you've developed your own design style with the caricatures, where it's easily identifiable.
Yeah, this
that
is Lord Wapi.
This is Lord Wapi.
I think
I
that
think
feeling, man, that feeling comes along every time you achieve something.
Yeah.
But you see, when you grow up, and I believe every single person that has made it would testify to this. When you grow up, Mukombonso, all right? And I grew up in like Kabushi, Masala, Bonano, Mushili, right? All those
Shout out to
Makomboni,
all those.
right? All those Mundola, right? When you grow up in such an environment, it's very, very difficult to feel like you deserve success, right? There's, I believe, what people suffer from, which is called the poverty mentality, right? Where like they don't feel like they deserve a nice watch, or like a chain, or you know, like they don't deserve original shoes, an expensive car. They don't deserve like wearing good clothes,
Yeah.
smelling good.
Yeah.
Poverty mentality, right? You've got the money,
Yeah.
but you just don't feel like you deserve it. That's how it is growing up Mukombo. And when you start like, you know, acquiring all this wealth and whatnot, you just feel like it's not yours. You feel like you don't deserve it and whatnot. You feel like it belongs to someone else, right? So I experience moments where I feel like I belong here. I'm
Yeah.
part of the club, man.
Yeah.
I'm part of the
Yeah,
club. Look at me,
definitely,
right?
Definitely.
But then every now and then, that runs out.
You have to fight it.
Yeah,
You
it runs
really have
out
to
and you
fight
go back
it.
to feeling like, I'm just a chap from Ndola. What am I?
But I think one thing you might not have picked up on,
Yeah.
you've really painted a clear picture for us.
How does it look like?
Not necessarily how does it look like, but someone who takes steps in the snow or along a path that leaves footprints is leaving a blueprint for the next person
Right,
in a similar context to understand how to navigate certain terrain. So whether we're talking about that boy or girl from Masala, whether we're talking about that boy or girl from Luansha, whether we're talking about someone who's already in Lusaka but stuck, what do they need to pick up from your story in hopes that one day they're also going to get a standing ovation at TED, or that they're going to get to a place where they break out of society's expectation of them,
Yeah.
and they are able to become who they're truly destined to be? Because you look like you're on the path to living in your truth, which is what we all...
That's the answer, actually, I was going to give. That was the exact answer I was going to give. Not exactly living in your truth, just being yourself. Now that sounds cliched, obviously, right? Everyone keeps saying, no, just be yourself, just be yourself. It's not easy to be yourself because everyone wants to be accepted, especially in this time of social media, right? There are standards now that have to be met for you to be accepted by the general public. If you
A
don't
template.
if you don't meet those standards, who are you, right? So it's very difficult to be yourself, but being yourself is the only way you can be a significant human being, right? That's the only way you can actually be happy, by being yourself. Now, I may not be the perfect example actually of someone who is himself, all right? I can give perfect examples of people who are themselves, and yet
they are appreciated and they're celebrated and whatnot. And they have attained a considerable amount of success in whatever it is that they're doing, which is, of course, part of them being themselves. Why celeb, right? Chandana K, right? Market 2, Chef 187, Afunika, right? All these have got like
deliberate, unapologetic,
exactly,
unashamed.
exactly, man, exactly. All these are people who are from the copper belt, who've been themselves. I forgot to mention the king himself, King Dandy.
Crazy.
King Dandy went to the US, all right, and was interviewed, and this guy came up with an accent we've never heard before, right? The man is himself. So it's not easy, all right? And that's why maybe we should even stop saying just be yourself, because the word just means like, it's simple, just be yourself.
Find yourself.
Like Nike, just do it. No. It's not that easy. Be yourself, but that's going to take a very long time.
And you consciously
Right.
have to
Exactly. It
dedicate
has to be an
yourself to-
active process, right? You have to dedicate yourself. You have to commit yourself to being yourself, right? Let me ask you something. Who is Chef 187 minus 10 years? Who is Pilato? Who is Marketu? Who is all these big artists minus 10 years? Nobodies.
Yeah.
Wannabes, right? They don't even know who they are.
big talkers who
Right.
don't have anything to
Exactly.
show for it.
But then if you add 10 years, you get big superstars. They're sure of themselves, they know who they are, they're confident, right? They've got self-assurance and all that stuff, self-esteem, right? Because it took them literally 10 years for them to actually graduate towards that person that you now celebrate. And so, it takes that much time to be yourself. Not exactly 10 years, but I'm just giving an
the
example
process,
of how long
the
it takes.
process that
Right,
you have
but
to undergo.
that's the only way you can be happy. Being yourself is the only way you can be happy. Not money, not nothing. Just be yourself, you'll be happy. And the world is going to see, right? And unfortunately, sometimes you might not even be alive to witness people actually appreciate you for who you are.
That's dope.
You'll probably be dead.
That's profound.
Because some of the artists we celebrate now, in whatever field, whether music, paintings, poetry,
They get their
what,
flowers
after they're
when
dead.
it's time
right?
to give them the funeral flowers.
But they never gave a care about, are people seeing that I'm being myself? Why aren't people, oh my goodness. No, they just did them. They just did what they had to do and they left. And then people were like, oh my goodness, this guy,
Excellent.
he was a genius.
No, look, Lord Wapi, there's a lot of gems
Yeah.
in this.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the gemstones found in the Zambian soil. I'm talking about the gemstones that you've brought out of your heart, your mind, and your soul. You've poured them into this interview.
Right.
I think anyone that is really looking to find themselves, anyone that's looking for encouragement, anyone that's looking for a reason to believe in themselves can pick up something from this
Very true, yeah.
episode of The Culture. And without further ado, this probably brings us to the close of this episode. But like I do with every single guest,
Unfortunately.
what I do with every single guest before they leave here
Yeah.
is give them a sincere vote of thanks. I humbly thank you for dedicating
Bro,
your time and your effort,
I thank you actually.
not only to this show,
Uh-huh.
but to the Zambian creative space.
If I should mention, all right, I have not even started, all right? I've not started yet, man. Like there's so much that I want to do. I'm not even there yet.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful.
I hope I live long enough to like just, pour out everything that exists in my head, because trust me, there's a lot that exists in my head. Just give me 30 years, I think. Yeah, 30 years. Then we're done.
Thank
30 years, then we're done.
No, truly, thank you. And for everyone watching, thank you for tuning in to The Culture. This has been the third episode with Lord Wapi. aka William Musonda Katongo, signing out. The Culture.